Good morning. Thank you for listening to WXOX 97.1 FM in Louisville, Kentucky. This is Artist Talk with LVA, the show produced by Louisville Visual Art, and I'm the host, Keith Waits. And today I'm talking to two different artists in one interview, so we get more bang for our buck, I guess. David Sierra is a painter. Terri Sierra is a painter and a photographer. Their studio is called Creative Ideas. It's an artist collaborative with art studios and an art gallery, co-owned by them. Terri created Creative Ideas as an encouraging and supporting space that would be owned by artists and run by artists, where artists are encouraged to create and art lovers can find art they'd love. And they are participating, not for the first time, in Open Studio Louisville, which is run by Louisville Visual Art and the University of Louisville's Alan R. Height Institute for Art. And we're happy to talk. This is the first time, though, I think I've interviewed them. I've met you guys a bunch of times, but I don't think we've had you on the show. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Glad to have you. So, because you guys are always, and you always contribute to Art Squared. You're like, I mean, I feel like I know you so well, but then again, there's a lot I don't know about you. We'll find out now stuff about you in this interview. But let's start with, so your studio, Creative Ideas, you are on Highway 524. Now, Highway 524 is basically the main drag in Westport, Kentucky, right?
That's right.
Call it the main drag. So you're one of our furthest flung people participating in Open Studio, and you've done it before. So, but did you have a lot of traffic when you did it before?
We had a good turnout in the last Open Studio that we had. We had about 7 people, and and Terri sold some paintings. Yeah, we do. It's definitely a destination spot for everyone. But it's very nice, very soothing, very calm out here. We love having people come out.
Well, and and we're going to talk about your work a little bit, but let's stay on the location for a second, because one of the interesting things, and you may be, this isn't the first time, but you may be the only one currently, because I remember years ago, Ray Kleinhelter was painting on his boat on the river. That was his studio, which I thought was a great thing. But if people think, oh, Westport, I don't want to drive all the way out there. If you own a boat, though, it's a very quick little trip up the river, isn't it?
Yes.
Sure is. We have docks and everything.
And from Indiana, especially.
Oh, gosh, yes. So see, you could probably row a canoe across from Indiana. And but there are docks, and there's a little shop or something down there right on the river?
Yeah, it's a nice little quaint restaurant called Knock on Wood. A lot of people come here for the food there, and they have a little shop, a clothing shop, and everything all tied into one. So it's a pretty neat place to come and visit.
Yeah, they have all kinds of, right now they have the seasonal things for fall, and they're starting with Christmas, and lots of home goods and stuff. Yeah. It's a destination in of itself.
Okay. Well, and hopefully we're looking at, the weather's a little chilly right now, but I love fall weather myself. And these last few days have been so terrific. So that's what we're hoping for on the 15th and 22nd. And you guys are doing both the 15th and the 22nd. You're open both days for Open Studio. So let's talk more about you, though, in particular. So where do you come from, and how did you meet? And we'll do all these kind of things. This is like this. So David, where are you from originally?
Well, my family's from Puerto Rico, so I'm Hispanic, and I grew up in New York. A little bit about my art history. I've always had a love for art, came through my siblings, and I had the opportunity to attend High School of Art and Design in Manhattan, where I learned most of my art. And then, I've been doing art ever since then, on and off, and between raising family and kids and all that. So, but now I get a chance to do it more often now, which I love. I also like woodwork too, so I like to create things with wood as well. Okay, cool. Do you do any functional woodwork, or is it more sculptural? It's functional, like cabinets and things like that, tables, and yeah.
I joke that it's David's Heavy Furniture Company because it takes so many people to carry the pieces.
But it works.
But it's beautiful. It works.
Well, that's if you build it on site where it goes, then that's fine, right? So
that's right. Right.
So Terry, what's your origin story?
I grew up in Chicago, and I have a very creative family. My mom was always into art. She took some classes at the Art Institute of Chicago. And my whole family was into music. My brother ended up being a house painter, but not just a house painter. He does the Victorian homes with all the different colors. And so he's really creative. And my sister's into music, and I kind of am a jack of all trades. And I've always liked to make things, been very crafty. And then in 2017, I found acrylic flow painting, and that was fine. It was fun. It was fine for a little while. And then I was like, okay, so I need to like expand on that and start learning more. So I've taken some classes and got into doing more abstract painting. And so that's what I do now. So some of mine's abstract representational, but mostly abstract. So that's where I am.
Well, it's interesting. I've found there are many artists who really focus on doing a certain kind of thing, but there's also a number of artists, more than people stop to think about really, that will have different kinds of silos for their creative energy. And some people will, do different mediums. And some people, though, even will only paint, but will do abstract paintings, realistic paintings, and all sorts of different sort of styles that they will keep working in, so that I don't know exactly how I want to identify them. And of course, trying to identify what an artist is always a fluid thing.
How did you guys... Matt Tomley calls that monopath, that you don't have just one way. So
yeah. And I probably should mention that she does acrylic and I do oil, because that's what I was originally taught when I was in school. So I haven't gotten away. I feel so faithful to oil that I can't find myself to go to acrylic, although it's a great medium too. So
we've worked on a couple of murals together, and of course they're in acrylic, and he cusses the acrylics. Dries too fast.
Well, particularly on a wall, I guess. I mean, I know you can there's mediums that you can use to slow down the drying process, but on a wall, that's maybe even against the rules. But so how did you guys meet?
Well, yeah, it's a funny story because we met online on one of those online dating services.
Love it, AOL.
Oh, really?
Yeah, love it, AOL. Both coming from previous marriages and things like that. She was on the dating service on the female side. I was on the male side, and then I was getting I guess some strange dates, and she was too. So I decided to look over and see what was on the female side, and that's when I saw her.
Man, I was at a point, Keith, where I had gone on so many crazy dates, I could write a book. It was so crazy. And I was like, I'm done with this dating world. And then he contacted me, said, hey, I like your picture.
Yeah, that's all I said.
That's all he said. And then I responded a couple words. And then by the end of the week, we were talking on the phone for 4 hours a night. So.
Yeah. But then, as we got to talk more, I learned more of her love of art, and I had a love of art too. And mine was kind of in hiatus mode because I was working and constantly busy. And she eventually encouraged me to start painting again. And reluctantly, I first said, no, that was one chapter there. But I decided to, do it again. I got another paint kit, and now, I'm back at it. So I love it.
It's a really great outlet, and you just kind of get caught up in it, and you can spend hours doing it. And it's just, I know every artist that comes on probably says the same thing, that if you don't create and you're not doing your art, then you just feel unsettled, and you need to get back and do it.
Yeah. Especially when you're in the corporate world, you come from the corporate world, you want to, unwind, and art is a beautiful way to do that.
Did you work in the corporate world? Both of you?
Yes.
Well, I had the privilege of retiring in 2021. So I'm doing art full time now,
Yeah.
but he's still.
Yeah, but I still do art after work. So, I want to get back into it and, keep going on it. So.
Well, I think that, it says a lot about, I often talk that there are two kinds of artists. There are artists who are able to devote all their time to it or make that their work. And then there's artists who have to find the time in and around a job or other kind of career. And, I think we've tended to place a greater value on artists who can be dedicated to it. But I think that the artists who have to find the time and there's a really good argument that they're working harder to make the time. Like, it's so important to them, because I know I used to make art and I was working and I kind of stopped doing it. It's easy to stop. It's so easy to stop. But when you have to fight that hard to make time for yourself to be an artist, I think in some ways that can be even more meaningful.
Yeah.
So.
And I would encourage people to do that, to set time apart every week, or if you have the luxury of every day, but at least, a time during the week to do that, discipline yourself and make that time. You make time for everything else, make time for your art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you find that making art made corporate life easier or more bearable? Like,
I think so.
because you had that outlet?
Yes. Yeah. And corporate life helps fund the art.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
So it's not a bad thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't mean to automatically be down on corporate life. It's a very easy target. And certainly I'm sure there are many corporations where working for them has not been pleasant. And we have some corporations in town that have been very, very supportive and tied into our arts community and other certain parts of our community. So, and I'm not going to name any names because they aren't giving me any money to say that. But so let's talk a little bit about your work now. So, Terri, how would you sort of distill? You work in different mediums. How is there a way that you would distill what you do? Is it the same in each medium, or for all mediums, or does the medium change what you do, or be a different avenue?
Right, the medium changes what I do because, of course, photography. Well, I do a couple different things in photography. We love the beach. And of course, there's not an ugly sunset, right? Mm-hmm. So I have a lot of beach scenes and, nature scenes like that. But I also like to do like unusual things where I take a picture of something, you have to figure out what it is, right? Like it's more of an abstract something and you have to figure out what it is and play with light and shadows and colors even. So that's what I do with photography. I also have experimented with using photography and painting together by transferring my photography to canvas and then painting on top of it. And that's really fun. That's not my main thing. It's been fun though. But my main thing is what I call an abstract retrospective. And it's kind of like Gerhard Richter's, where it's several different layers of paint and you get these little images in the layers. And it's like time, like building upon your life. Like, as time goes on, you have memories and you have adventures and you have things, and you can see those in the layers of the paint. So that's kind of what I do with the abstracts, and I like it. I like the abstracts to be rough and gritty.
Yeah. So. Well, David, sort of the same question.
Kind of like
life. life is rough and gritty. Well, it's like anything. It's like there's a balance, a pendulum. The great joy and satisfaction of life is much sweeter when you've been through some rough times.
That's right.
I don't mean to sound like a Hallmark card, but I think we all know understand that observation. David, what about your work? Same sort of question to you. How would you sort of sum up what you have a couple minutes time, like what your work is like?
Well, so my work, aside from being in oil, it's mostly of portraits, facial features and things like that in your body. Not necessarily nudes. I really don't do many of those or any of those. But the human form has always been an interest to me. Different facial features, different aspects of people, different races and stuff
Mhm.
like that. So I like painting just true to life people. I was doing more realistic painting. Now I'm doing a little bit, I guess, experimenting with different color in the facial features of people.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, there's one behind me that I'm working
Oh, yeah.
on. So I'm kind of experimenting on that as well. But the human form, the human study has always been fascinating to me ever since I was in high school. So.
Have you ever thought you would lose interest in it, or does it just still?
No, I just, even when we talk to people and stuff, I find it, the conversation is interesting, and people in general are just a pleasure to talk to and to see and hear their thoughts. I often, when I speak to people, I say, hey, what's your story? Because I think everybody has a story to tell, and it's always interesting, to hear their aspect, whether they're artists, which we've become friends with a lot of artists in town, and I just love not only hearing about what they do and their their mediums that they work in, but also to hear them speak on how they got started and their love of art, and it's
Mhm.
very encouraging. So.
Let's talk a little bit about sort of one of the objectives of Open Studio Louisville is to give people obviously the chance to visit art studios and get a glimpse into sort of their practice and the environments they work in, things like that. But also we're always looking for people who, although it's not doesn't have to be an opportunity to sell work for the artists, but we hope to introduce people to the community of artists and have them be interested in purchasing art and starting to be collectors. And I know that in my observation, I'm old enough to recognize that there was a time when there was a lot of collecting in town, and that seems to have slowed down, comparatively, that there's not the same sort of, back in the 60s and 70s, it was like a hunger to buy art and with a lot of people. And so, we're looking to introduce, what would you say to somebody who is not collecting art? What would you say to encourage them to change that, and why should they come to your studio? Here's your opportunity for a pitch.
So everybody lives in a home, right?
Mhm.
Or most people, and you decorate your home, and you should have things on your walls that you love. You should, you should just have things on your walls that you love. And so we have an opportunity to provide art for you that's beautiful in your home, right? And if you come look at it, it's here, as well as at all the other open studios. There's so many different kinds of artists, and don't be satisfied with what you can get that's mass produced, but check out local art, because it can be very affordable, and there's something for everyone out there.
I hate mass produced art. I hate mass produced art, and I hate that sort of decorator stuff. Because I'll say, my mom, rest in peace, that's what she had on the walls.
Home interior.
Yeah, little weird
I don't
statues
even know
that
if they have that anymore. But
that they thought was meaningful, and it's not meaningful. It's I agree with you, and I think that I think people maybe are sometimes scared, they don't know what to buy, but I buy what I like, and I think most people do just buy. It's an emotional response. Because like you say, you're going to take it home with you. It's going to go on a wall.
it doesn't have to match your couch.
No. Throw that couch out and get another one. Well, if you look at most collectors, I think they probably have fairly neutral tones and things, because the art is what pops. The art is where the color comes from, and the texture, things that are interesting. So if you have like furniture with lots of patterns and bright colors, yeah, you probably aren't going to collect art.
Well, you might find some minimalistic art.
Yeah, but what I think though, I think a lot of people, and that kind of what draws me to art too, to other people's art, is the colors, especially the colors that pop, and I'm talking like primary colors, like, your yellows, your blues, If people see that, and then the secondary colors, the purples and stuff like
Mhm.
that, they see that, and I don't think that I don't know that they're really looking to not put that kind of stuff in their places, because my stuff, what I do, my canvases are big.
Mhm.
Terry's in various sizes. But I think that when you walk into a place and you see color and you see a big piece, I almost would say, hey, I want that piece in my house. Not necessarily in a gallery. That's pretty much what we always strive for. Any artist tries to have it in the gallery or in a museum. But if any of our, say, customers come in and they see a big piece, I'm thinking that, in the colors, I'm thinking, they'll want that in their house. So I don't know. That's just the way I see it as
Sure.
well.
Sure.
Well,
Well-
just buy what you love.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Buy what you love and put it up so that you can get joy from it every day.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you'll
Well-
love people.
Come out and see if you love our stuff, because we've got lots of stuff to love.
Well, yeah, buy what you love, but it doesn't hurt if maybe the people are fun people that are making it too. So it sounds like visiting your studio will be a fun time. Just get in your boat and go up the Kentucky coastline to Westport.
Hey, Keith, I wanted to mention one thing too, is that our vision for this studio and gallery is that artists will come out, we'll have gatherings here, maybe even do some plein air at some point.
Mhm.
Westport's a beautiful place with lots of spots to do plein air. And that's kind of some of the stuff that we want to do out here too. So,
Okay.
Yeah, very
Okay.
tranquil too. We've got
It's-
about 700 acres behind us, very tranquil.
Mhm.
so
Great,
yeah.
Well, yeah.
great for artists.
I've been out there. Westport is a terrific place, and you're right, very tranquil.
So come
Well-
and check us out at Open Studio on October 15th and 22nd.
All right, there you go. That's all the time we have for right now. But we'll see you on one of those days. Thank you,
Okay,
David.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
David, and thank you, Terri Sierra.
bye.
Bye.